All right, welcome viewers to What's the Big Idea. Today we have a special format. I am chatting with Enrique Chediak, who is the DP of the fantastic movie Voyagers, which comes out this Friday, April 9th. Got a chance to see it. It is a fantastic movie. Please welcome from where you're sitting, Enrique Chediak. I'll give an applause.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me here with you. Thank you.
Of course. Well, thanks for being here. So first off, I just wanted to say I love the film. For those who haven't had a chance to see it yet, if you could just quickly summarize it, or I could, because I loved it.
Sorry, can you repeat?
Oh, if you could just summarize, how you speak about the movie to folks.
Well, it's a long journey for kids for these kids that are created in probes to discover another possible planet for the humans to live. So it happens all within a spaceship, and it happens all within a very confined environment, and I don't know, and it's a journey of discovery, not only of what they're going to discover, but discovery about themselves as well, right?
Yes, I love that. I'm so glad that you talked about the confined space, because I think, and for the most part, sci-fi movies are about the vastness of space and all this stuff. And I will tell you, I wasn't expecting this, but I left the movie feeling so claustrophobic. And I think you made this great movie where you do feel cramped on a spaceship. It's not a particularly cramped spaceship, but I mean, that's also, I want to guess that's sort of your specialty. I mean, you did 127 hours, which itself, you're right here. What is it about that? How do you go about making something feel claustrophobic for a viewer when I'm not claustrophobic? I was on a big couch, I'm far away from my TV, but it really felt that. How do you go about that?
Well, that was one of the themes, one of the aspects of the movie we discussed early on with Neil Berger, the director, and the need of, because of course the space is big, and they're gonna be there for many years, actually 3 generations, but still, you have to use the space in a very economical way. So it needed to be claustrophobic, and the spaceship is big, but the spaceship is big, but the spaces are small. So the hallways are small, the bedrooms are small, everything is small. And we decided to maintain it like that. We didn't move walls to shoot. We shot within what we had. We shot with lenses that allows us to be in those tight spaces. So it was claustrophobic actually shooting the movie. It was not easy, but that was a challenge to make us feel we are there with them, using the resources we have, which was those tight spaces. But conceptually, it needed to be like that. It needed to feel. It needed to feel, completely close.
Yeah, uncomfortable. Yes, yeah.
Uncomfortable, exactly. Yeah.
It was. I mean, and I, because we talk about the future a lot on What's the Big Idea. You have a lot of films that deal with kind of futures or dystopias. What kind of, is that a coincidence? Do you get drawn to those films about the future? I mean, I know you had Fifth Wave. 28 Weeks Later is kind of a futuristic movie. Europa Report. You do a lot of this future stuff. Is that a choice, or do you just kind of find yourself in those situations?
For one reason or another, I find myself in those situations. It's not a question of choice. Is I like that's in this case Voyagers. I read the script. I like what the script had to say about the human condition within these tight spaces, and I haven't done a proper sci-fi movie, if you want, in a while. Europa Report was the last one, which also was very tight and confined spaces, different concept than this one. So I don't know. I guess things come to me and I respond, and we shoot them, but it's not by choice. It's not I want to say, oh, I want to shoot tight spaces in the future.
Yeah. Just happens to happen. No, I mean, but whatever it is, like if you're drawn to it or if it's just by coincidence, you're doing a great job of it. And I also wanted to say, I think you do a great job of capturing, I mean, it's impossible to do, capturing the future. Like when you watch something in this genre, it does feel like the future. It feels like that a little bit undefined. Like there's kind of a little bit of gray space where it's like, I feel like I'm not asking the question correctly, but how do you start from making it feel like the future? Because a lot of movies don't do that, and they feel like this is what the future might be like. You kind of transport us to the future. How do you go about doing that?
Well, it still is a future in subjective terms, right? It's a
Yeah,
future. We don't know the future, so we
right.
imagine the future is the way we do it. So in this case, it starts by building the sets and building the light within the sets, and with the technology that we have now, try to imagine how the future will be. So it's just it's just a speculation. It's something that comes from instinct or from a gut feeling, but it's just it's the future through our subjective senses, right? Who knows if it's going to be like that or not?
Right. Do you ever have those kind of debates or arguments where you're like, that feels a little too cartoonishly spacey, or that feels not spacey enough? Do you ever have those kind of conversations?
Yes, constantly we're policing ourselves and try to make it as real as possible within the language that we're creating for the movie. But yes, we have those conversations a lot. Maybe like for instance, one conversation that we had was making the spaceship white as a NASA spaceships. Nowadays, they're white. They are very minimal, and that's a conscious decision. It was not an easy one because for a director of photography, white is maybe our worst enemy. So
Okay.
I was stuck for I don't know how many days of shooting a white space, which is something that you don't want to do, right? White doesn't bring you any, but that challenge is very welcome. It's something new, and then we spend a lot of time testing what type of white, a little bit more blue maybe, or a little bit more red. We tested paintings, we tested types of reflection for us to survive the voyage of shooting the movie in all environments. Yeah.
You're on your own voyage. Well, that's so funny that you mentioned that, because one of the things that really popped to me was, yes, the ship is white. It is it's very bright and futuristic, space sexy, and then this isn't a spoiler in any regard, but there is a violent scene and there's blood, and we see it for the first time, and it is so much more jarring to see blood in this perfect space that we've seen. We associate it with peacefulness and perfection, and then it hits you, and it hit harder than a normal blood scene in a normal movie would. Not that it's gross or anything, but just the redness of the blood was a quick reminder. And whatever you guys were doing was fantastic. I love that. Was that how did you approach that particular scene? Not to get into too many spoilers.
Well, but it's interesting what you say, because when we were start shooting, we tried to shoot this movie as much in a chronological order as possible. And when the dailies were coming, certain producers were worried that it looks too monochromatic, almost as a black and white. That there's no color here. There's no color. We were always Neil and I was thinking, well, wait up until the blood comes, and the colors are going to start popping up one way or another. The fire, the blood, the red light for emergency. Itself will start popping as the story develops. So yeah, we basically have a very monochromatic set, but as you say, certain colors like the blood is really a shock, right? It's really a shock for the kids, and it's a shock for us that we see blood for the first time, and then because it comes out on over, because it's unique. The color red is unique within what we've been seeing. It's more jarring if you want. Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yeah, it was, and I was, watching it because I knew we would be speaking, but that did just catch me very, like, oh, that, this is when you're working with somebody who knows what he's doing, and then wants to use the tools in your toolkit effectively. One last question. You spoke earlier about how the movie does, and I think you do a great job of it, of exploring the sort of the humanity of these 30 space travelers. Again, they're traveling for 80 years or 86 years, and but they're in this beautiful, gorgeous, advanced spaceship that's going to take care of them for nearly a century. But at the end of the day, they are still human. And this movie does a great job of exploring that, like, that difference. We can invent all this lovely stuff, but at the end of the day, we're still kind of hardwired as human beings. We have our reptile brains and all that kind of stuff. Was that one of the themes that sort of drew you to the film, and how did you explore that visually?
Well, no, that's I think maybe one of the most interesting things for me of the movie, the aspect of humanity and how these voyagers or travelers are sorry, are somehow being controlled by this beverage, the blue, the Prozac, whatever it is.
Yeah, yeah.
And they are pacified and controlled by that, so they can function in a more, let's say, non-human, with no instincts, right? Just by the law. And the discovery of their own instincts with the good things that they have, and the good things that our humanity has, and the bad things that humanity has, and that exploration is much more powerful within this confined space. With this, they cannot go and climb trees, they cannot go and do what kids do. So the explosion of this instinct of this humanity, it's very strong within the ship. So I think that was very, very interesting when I read the script. It really, really drew me to the script a lot. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I love that, and I think all of the whole team explored it really well. It's a fantastic movie. It's a fun movie to watch. It also does make you think about these different things. And that is sort of a great Friday night activity. I know I enjoyed it a great deal. Enrique, I wanted to say thank you for joining us on What's the Big Idea. Any other kind of parting thoughts?
No, it's just that, I hope the people enjoy the movie. I hope they enjoy watching as much as we enjoy making it. And, it was a very pleasurable experience to work on it. Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much. Good luck. And I can't wait to check out anything that you do.
Thank you so much. Thank you, me, for having me here in the Big Idea. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.